Hey everyone, welcome to my first episode of Cook with Kait. Join me as I prepare a Christmas feast with my family in Souk, British Columbia. Please feel free to post any comments or questions in the section below and I'll be sure to answer them. Let's get started. I would like to introduce a couple of guests in the show today. My parents, Julie and Andre, and my wonderful partner, Sam, who I cooked beside the last 5 years of my career. These are the main 3 people I love to cook with, and I'm sure you'll be seeing them in future episodes. Here's the menu we decided on for Christmas Day dinner. It's a nice mix of classic holiday dishes, including our favorite way to prepare a turkey. I'll be showing you how to prep and cook like a chef at home, while still putting your personal touch on the dishes you plan to serve. I'm going to link a video below of someone preparing their deep-fried turkey, since I wasn't able to film that portion. This should be the first thing you do to prepare for your dinner, preferably 24 hours ahead of time. You'll want to have a designated turkey fryer, someone with cooking experience, to set up the fryer and watch the bird cook later in the day. Here is a basic marinade recipe that we used for our turkey. Keep in mind this recipe is for a 20-pound bird, so make sure to adjust according to the weight of your bird. We're now moving on to the video portion of this episode. You may want to grab a pen and paper in case you want to copy anything down as we go. I'm getting the turkey stock ready so I can make the gravy and stuffing. For the stock, you'll need to first save the giblets from the turkey. You can either roast the neck or brown it in the saucepan before the mirepoix. I chose the latter because our oven was being used for other things. Heat your saucepan with 2 tablespoons of oil and put it on medium heat. Cook the neck until it's slightly browned and then add in all of the veg. Now cook that until it just starts to turn color. Sometimes you have to take a break to run around the house with your dog. I can't be held liable if anything bad happens when you try it. Now add the water and herbs to the stock pot. Bring it to a simmer and cook for 30 minutes to an hour depending on how deep of color you want your stock. Do not boil your stock. This is what makes it cloudy, and it also won't taste the same in the end. We'll come back and finish the stock and gravy later in the video. It's time to move on to the appetizer. I bought a medium-sized wheel of brie from Costco and baked it for 20 minutes at 350 Fahrenheit. While the brie is baking, we can make the blackberry compote. On low heat, start cooking the blackberries in a small pot with the sugar and water. Continue cooking until it's thickened and syrupy. Add the red wine and cook 2 more minutes. Transfer to a serving bowl and let cool. Once the brie is warmed through and you can feel it do that amazing cheesy jiggle, you're good to go. Make sure to let it sit for at least 5 minutes before you serve it, just so no one burns their mouth. You can serve the brie with any type of bread or cracker. We chose multigrain and sesame. Another option is to buy a baguette and toast thin slices of it with olive oil to make crostini. And now for the dirty part. We're moving on to cutting up the vegetable side dishes for our dinner. Starting with the carrots, you can cut them any style you like. We went with rounds cut on the bias, just to jazz it up a bit. The important thing here is to cut the carrots smaller so that you can cook the broccolini at the same time. And of course, you should always give your doggo carrot snacks. Mom cut the potatoes for the mash next. We use medium-sized russets and cut them into pieces of 6. Make sure to cover the cut potatoes with cold water to keep them from oxidizing. Also put 2 tablespoons of salt in the water. Cover the pot and set aside on the stove for later. Keep in mind you want to start boiling the potatoes at least 45 minutes before you plan to serve the turkey. Onto the broccolini. Cut off the end of the stems, then make 2 to 4 cuts along the remaining stem so that they match the size of the carrots we cut earlier. The florets will cook quicker than the stem, so those can be kept larger in size. Place into your baking pan for seasoning. I always dress my veg with extra virgin olive oil before roasting. Grate some fresh ginger over the carrots and season with salt and pepper. Now mince 2 cloves of garlic over the broccolini and also season with salt and pepper. Cover the pan with foil and set aside on the stovetop for later. This veg will take about 30 minutes to cook if your oven is set to 350 Fahrenheit. It's time to cut the mirepoix for the stuffing and fritters. Starting with the onion, we're going for a small dice here. I know everyone cuts their onion differently, so I'm not going to be picky yet. I'll be making some how-to videos soon enough to help you dance around the kitchen like the rest of us chefs. Carrots are one of the most challenging to cut consistently, so the sooner you get a flat surface on it, the better. I always cut mine in half first and then go from there. Depending on the thickness of the celery, you may want to cut it in half in some spots before dicing. At school, I was taught to cut all ingredients into 6-inch lengths to fit your knife blade. It's much easier to process your ingredients that way, so keep that reference in mind in the future. Place your sauté pan on medium-high heat and add some olive oil to it. As your oil is heating, chop your herbs fine and reserve them for later. Once the oil starts to dance in your pan, it's time to add the veg. Toss your veg around every couple of minutes to ensure even cooking. This process will take about 5 to 10 minutes. Add your herbs near the end, once the mirepoix has some color on it. We don't want to burn the herbs, just release some aroma. The rest of the herb flavor will come out later. Take the veg off the heat and set it aside. It's now time to finish the stuffing. I brought Sam in on this part since he made about 2,000 portions of stuffing over Christmas season at our last job. He is the stuffing master. If you have stale bread laying around, this is the perfect place to use that up. Either cut it into cubes or tear it up with your hands. Drizzle with some butter and add 3/4 of the mirepoix we just sautéed earlier. Lightly mix the bread around to see how wet it is. Season with salt and pepper, then add some of that wonderful turkey stock that's been cooking away. Add the remaining butter and 2 eggs. This will make your stuffing more rich and help it hold together after baking. Transfer to a baking pan. You'll want to pop the stuffing in the oven about 30 minutes before you serve dinner. We kept the lid off because we like the top to be crunchy. It's time to taste the stock. It should be golden in color and have a nice poultry and vegetable flavor. You won't get any more flavor out of the vegetables and giblets after an hour, so we can strain it now. Transfer the stock back into the same sauce pot, yay, saving dishes, and put back on medium heat. Season your stock now if you think it needs any more salt. We like a nice light gravy, so we thickened our stock with a slurry instead of a roux. It also takes less time to thicken than a roux. Make sure to bring your gravy up to a boil to cook out the starch. A perfect sauce consistency will coat the back of the spoon, and if you run your finger through it, this white mark will stay. Set your gravy aside on the stovetop for later. It's stuffing fritter time! I had the pleasure of stumbling upon this at my last job. They're an awesome way to use up extra stuffing after the holidays, but I love them so much I wanted to eat them with my Christmas dinner. It's easiest if you scale out your ingredients before you start, so that you can dump everything in the bowl when it comes to mixing the batter. Start by whisking your milk and eggs together. Now add the cornmeal, flour, and baking powder. I probably sound like a broken record by now, but always season your food. Add the small amount of sautéed mirepoix that was left from earlier. The batter should be thick like pancake batter. Let it rest at room temperature until it's needed. And now we can watch Sam make the mash. Enjoy the family commentary. You know, mom being mom.
Oh my god, where's all that butter going?
What do you think?
That much butter's going in the potatoes?
Do you want to make potatoes? Or do you want me to make potatoes?
No, oh, be still my heart. It's palpitating.
One of the other chefs that I follow just posted one. Please, Lord, forgive us for all of our sins that we're about to post like the cheesiest thing ever.
Yeah.
Where's the masher at?
Gosh, sleeping in her little cowl. Okay, make sure Dad doesn't turn off that pot.
I
Right?
told him already. He knows this. Mash your potatoes lightly in the pot. He already knows,
Okay,
Mom.
don't turn off the pot. You think they're gonna get really big?
Well, they'll get like
They'll get puffed
decent
up. Yeah.
size.
Like a fritter size.
But they're good small because you just pop it in your mouth. I made half the rest.
Are you going to want me to just bring the cutting board out to you so you can put some curtain on it out there? Bring it to the table there for you. Or just put it on the ground and another sheet kind of bigger one or
Add sour cream, butter, and milk.
I don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
There's a thing called salted butter that I have control on easily.
Mash together again, but don't overmix. We decided to be even dirtier and added whatever leftover brie there was from the appetizer. Now you can get a little more aggressive with the mash and start stirring in the cheese. This is where it will transform to those nice silky, fluffy potatoes we all love. Taste now for any extra seasoning needed.
God, I'm good at this stuff.
If you don't get excited here, then there may be something wrong. The turkey is now ready to pull from the fryer. Let's go see this beast come out. Let this sound be imprinted on your memory forever. It's okay if your timer is going off. Try to let as much oil drip off as possible before bringing the turkey inside to rest. Ours rested for about 30 minutes before we started carving it. Remember to not turn off your turkey fryer just yet. It's time to fry the fritters. You'll want to use a small ice cream scoop or a spoon to portion the batter into the oil. The larger you make the fritters, the longer they will take to fry. We like little fritters that are easy to pop in the mouth, so we used smaller portions. They took about 5 minutes to fry, and they'll be nice golden brown on the outside. So, our turkey is resting, the mash is set on the stove, the gravy is done, and the fritters are fried. At this point, the vegetables should be 3/4 of the way cooked. We want to make a little glaze for the carrots, so it's time to pour the honey on and pop it back in the oven. As the veg is finishing cooking, it's time for your designated turkey cooker to carve the bird. You'll want a sharp paring knife and slicer for this part. Start by taking off the legs and wings. This meat is easiest consumed if you pull it off the bone in small pieces. If some of the pieces make it into your mouth before plating, well then consider yourself blessed. Always save the turkey bones for soup sometime later in the week. The last pieces to come off the turkey are the breasts. They should come clean off the bone if you've done your job right. Depending on how many there are of you feasting, you may not need to cut up both breasts. You'll thank me later when it comes time for turkey sandwiches. Now, we feast!